I know the ministry does have a land lease program, so perhaps they can also give you some information as to how they go about doing the land leasing, what are the kinds of documents that they use, what are the conditions, the terms and conditions. So perhaps you can use that as a basis for determining how you move forward with yours. Hope that helps.
Maybe I could say something at this point. I think you're talking about two completely different things. There have been cases in the past where people with, in fact, a lot of people with private land approached me for the state to buy the land, and the state has enough land of its own. So the state has no interest in private land except where it serves some sort of strategic value, or in an area where we have absolutely no land. In a private, so but one part of the issue you're discussing is bringing private land into cultivation. Now that is a matter for private owners. Carney Green tried something like that by using land which was to be leased to the Carney workers, the 2-acre plots, trying to bring those into cultivation. Of course, everything works very nicely once you have the taxpayers funding it. So the model worked, crops were produced, and then the usual question came, who is going to buy it? And the state bought it and did nothing with it. So that if private owners want to bring land into cultivation, private owners have to find interested persons who are prepared to bring that into cultivation. We've been able to provide technical in cocoa and technical support to Dwayne Dove from Tobago to bring on he has his Tobago Estates project and the Tobago Estates chocolate brand, but he also has a brand that is based in Tamana, and it is he has I want to say leased, because it's not I don't want to say rented, but he's leased private estates, small private estates, and he's invested in bringing them back into production, cocoa production. And that project has gone very well. And in fact, the first bar out of that, the Laura bar, has won in the European awards. It's won for 3 years, and in the Seattle chocolate, the competition there, it's won, I believe, gold and silver in the last couple of years. So the bar has done very well with the beans from that project. It is really a private arrangement between landowner and cultivator, and some of those things. So, and you're doing again, from a legal point of view, you're doing 2 separate things. One is you're making the land available, which is simple. You use a standard land rental agreement. But then you have to think about what happens to the produce. Is the owner of the land going to share in the produce, or does the person renting the land have full access to the produce? What happens to the infrastructure work that is done on the land? Upon termination, what happens? Is the renter to be compensated in any way, or do the parties just walk away from each other? The improvements on the land would be an area you have to look at. But separate from that, and I'll go back to Narendra's question on the greenhouses, and your timing is very good, because I think Professor Ganpat would tell you, I think Omadat is also on this call, they tell you we've struggled with the whole concept of protected agriculture, and it has to do with the appropriate technology and customizing it for, and of course for people who have taken up greenhouses and I wouldn't say technology, the engineering, they imported greenhouses from countries which had a different climatic conditions, and by and large the experience has been the battle with the heat, and also the dealing with external temperature and the need to maintain internal temperature, and the extent to which in our high period of heat when we get up to 32 and 33 degrees, the extent to which it overwhelms the cooling capacity in the greenhouse itself. Now, the technology has come a long way in two ways. In terms of design, I've recently been discussing with Minister Singh from my colleague minister about what is available right now and some costing of it and the technology that goes with it. And the two things that are very attractive now is the design that can work in our environment, the roll up and roll up sidings, the porta-cool type cooling within, the opportunity to boost the cooling. The height of those greenhouses that are available now is significant because it allows for the hot air within the greenhouse to rise up. You know, it is maybe 15 to 20 feet high. It allows for that heat, that hotness to be up at the top, and a more ambient temperature to be maintained at the lower level. And most importantly, a lot of them come now with low solar options that we could explore. So I don't know if you heard me on Monday when I spoke on the finance bill in the Senate. I talked about a greenhouse park project, because I've been around the greenhouses long enough in the country, spoken to a lot of young people, and even though I try to avoid getting the taxpayer into funding of private enterprise, I think that I want to pursue a project where the state, using the model of the light industrial type estates, I want to follow a model of actually bearing the cost of outfitting in batches of 25 of these units, and making them available to young farmers at a lease cost that is affordable. So you're talking about a designated site with about 25 of these units, each solar powered with they would take the average 96 by, it takes up about 4,800 square feet, the unit itself. And I believe that each unit could work with about between 10 and 18,000 square feet. So I am prepared on behalf of the taxpayers to take the financial risk and create the model that will help everybody across the country. And the advantage of doing it that way, so if we go to fund directly, if we go to say, okay, we're going to make a grant available and we're going to fund it, 1 year after you fund it, if the person abandons it, then you have no recourse. But if you own it, if the state retains ownership of it, you are able to change out the person who is not performing. And Chaguramas, I've identified 4 places I want to see it. One in Chaguramas, one site in Chaguramas, one in Bonaire, one possibly in Orange Grove or close to Orange Grove, and one further in the east, in the La Horquetta Talaparo area. And I think that would be the sort of boost for young persons, because I'm looking at 25 units and 4 sites. That's 100 young farmers that we'll bring in. We'll also be able to boost production that may go into the supermarket trade because of the controlled nature of the predictable nature of the output from houses and farming in controlled environments. And it will also be a boost for our young persons who really struggle on the issue of access to land. But the thing about it is that giving a young person, in fact, giving anybody 5,000 square feet and asking them to cultivate it on a consistent basis is a real undertaking. That's why I have so much respect and regard for farmers who keep 100 acres under cultivation and asking you for more. A 2-acre plot is really a struggle for even a fairly experienced farmer. So on the youth side, I think you raised 2 things. One is their their knowledge level. I've been talking to the Prime Minister and the Minister of Youth Development. I'm speaking to him Sunday again on, on the final thoughts that I have, and we both meeting the Prime Minister because I want to settle both the curriculum that we've been working on for young people in agriculture and the methodology of farm development. You know, there's been some talk about young farmers school. I myself talk about Sugarcane Feed Center being a young farmers school. There's been some talk among my colleagues about residential programs. I am very, very slow to go back into that model that we use for youth camps, but we have to find a way to reach our young people to use the thing about COVID is that we've been able to do some training on virtual. So it's going to be a combination of virtual and on plot. And of course, the big thing is that there must be an apprenticeship. There must be a stipend element of it because young people will have to be able to at least meet their basic expenses during a period like this. So that is the other element of it. So one element is what do they do with their training, and two, how they get the training, and all involves the state spending some money which we prepared to spend, but not in a way that does not yield the type of results that we want it to yield. Just to go back on Narendra's question, I think that from the different Professor Ranpa talked about the different people with the expertise. There's a lot of stuff online that you could check, but I think that you should also talk to my colleagues, Minister Singh, because we've had a few discussions on it for this week alone, as we get close to making a decision on exactly how we're going to execute the Greenhouse Park project.
Thank you, Honourable Minister, for your response.